Hello, welcome to Show Studios New York Fashion Week Roundups. I'm editor Hetty Mahlich and I'm going to be talking to you about the LaQuan Smith Spring Summer 24 show, and then you're going to meet MC Hill, our fashion critic, who's going to break down the Area show for you. Both of these are very high energy shows about performance, about glamour, about both kind of celebrity editorial dressing, but also have such a kind of devoted general following. You can feel the buzz on the street outside and in the show. Really fashion that is for fantasy and aspiration, but it's also actually for the people as well. When I left the LaQuan Smith show, I felt so energized and excited. It was such an amazing buzz and feeling at that show. LaQuan Smith's been around since kind of launching his brand in 2013, Queens-born, kind of New York native, and it's just like pure glamour. He's done it all himself. You know, it's amazing seeing an eponymous brand like this doing so well. He's done it all himself. He didn't go to fashion school. He's made such a big success of this brand. You know, even before it started, you could feel it. You know, Mary J. Blige was on the front row, all the way through to Marlo from Real Housewives of Atlanta. You know, people are kind of crushed into the back, standing desperate to get in from the front. You can feel this absolute energy at the show, which was really exciting actually. And even though the show was about an hour and a bit late, which doesn't put you, when you're kind of waiting, you know, sometimes it can either put you in a bit of a bad mood waiting for a show, or like anything, if anything is late. And actually, as soon as that first model walked out, it was kind of at the back of the runway, the kind of rafters lifted, and there was this red light silhouetting the first model, who then stormed down the runway with complete attitude. That's something also to say. Every single model in this show walked with complete conviction and attitude. So that completely made up for any kind of long waiting. It was, you know, it was the energy that you feel like you want from New York at nighttime. You know, this might have been Monday night, but in that room, it felt like it was Friday night or Saturday night. This was a men's and women's collection, and it was all about what LaQuan Smith does best, which is super strong silhouette, super clean lines. So that opening look, which was silhouetted, when it finally kind of came down the runway and I could see what it was this purple kind of billowing shirt, but definitely kind of with lines of a shirt. It wasn't, you know, I say billowing, but it was clean, it was sharp, and it was tucked into these little faux leather pants, which created this kind of upside down triangle shape. Very, very strong, very kind of impactful. And then the second look was this sheer top tucked into a palazzo pant, which had a really wide suede waistband on it. So that silhouette was really, again, tight, clean, strong as this model walked down the runway. Everything felt like it was cut really well, you know, even working with kind of faux croc material in kind of silver and purple, this really thick material. It was cut really well. It didn't kind of buckle or have any kind of bubbles in it. It looked perfectly put on the body. Also in this collection, you know, thinking about clean lines, there were some looser shapes as well, some kind of, you know, perfect oversized motorcycle trousers and utility trousers that you'd want to wear out at night. That's so kind of on trend right now. But then it was paired with kind of sheer tops to show how you could wear that at night time. Those motorcycle pants were done in different metallic color kind of patterns, so like the pinks, the purples, blues, and that kind of, you know, pairing that with that sheer bodysuit, that was also something that ran throughout this collection, the pairings of kind of sheer bodysuits on men and both women as well. There was a beautiful kind of sheer catsuit, which then had metallic fringing as a skirt wrapped around it. All of these kind of men and women worked so well together. It was like a concise collection. And actually, I was really thinking about, Kathy Horan did this amazing review of Peter Doe's Helmut Lang collection, and it was one of those kind of classic, those kind of great Kathy Horan reviews where she gets it just right with her use of language. And the review for the cut ends and it says, you know, we might as well go to Uniqlo if kind of, you know, in the context of the review, like if Peter kind of is going to continue like this, we might as well just go to Uniqlo. And I was thinking about that in the context of also thinking about what a designer has to do. And I was also reading an interview by the Area designers, Areas, who MC is going to talk to you about in a minute. And they were saying in their, like, how they've grown and their need to be commercial and kind of sell doesn't actually mean paring things back and doing less, but actually doing more and pushing it to a level where to a level doing everything that no one else is doing. And I think that's also really apt when we're thinking about LaQuan Smith, that actually, you know, yes, he did a collaboration with ASOS, he's collaborated with Puma, and actually that doesn't cheapen the brand, and maybe that was a prejudice that I had going into this show. But actually this isn't, the reason he did those collaborations is that a collection like we saw for Spring Summer 24, yes, it's kind of some pre-existing ideas out there, but actually it's presenting a complete brand image that isn't necessarily available anywhere else. And, you know, by doing collaborations with people like ASOS, it makes it available to all those fans of the brand that LaQuan Smith has out there. And actually, that's brilliant. Kind of LaQuan Smith is the answer to kind of what Kathy Horan was talking about, of why it's kind of this dichotomy of, yeah, we shouldn't go to Ungaro, but actually you kind of can with LaQuan Smith now. But that's just this amazing thing that he's created. He's created this incredible kind of signature aesthetic and brand for him. And I think what's also interesting is looking at that collection come down the runway. There are no accessories. It's not about selling accessories. He's actually selling clothes. And to start a brand in, you know, the last 10 years and have it succeed purely off the clothes and not off leather goods and accessories is, you know, hats off. So congratulations, LaQuan Smith, and we will now lead you into Area with MC.
Hey, I'm MC, fashion critic for Show Studio, and let's talk Area Autumn/Winter 2023. So Piotrek Panszczyk, who's Aria's designer, staged his Fall/Winter 2023 collection in Williamsburg Savings Bank just last night. The interior was reminiscent of early 20th century American architecture, kind of merging with classical Roman architecture, which was typical of architects and, I don't know, building designers at that time, I guess. In any case, it was an interesting backdrop to think about the music, and then the music having us think about the fashion. St. Jensen, the great Belgian producer, made the soundtrack for the show last night. And if you know anything about St. Jensen's kind of musical oeuvre, particularly in fashion, you know that he creates sonic narratives. It's just not music to kind of like accessorize a show. It's a narrative. It's narrative driven, and the narrative is the beat because duh, music. And so last night's narrative was percussive. You know, the audience could really just, we were beaten over the head quite literally with this drum pattern going thump, 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 thump. And so you think like, are we going to get a Björk performance? Is she coming tonight? Or you can just think about the primitive nature of that percussion and how it sounded like a march. And in my mind, I'm thinking of like, oh, this is very like primitive. This is very like early man. You think about like, you know, Cro-Magnon dragging their knuckles across the floor as they walk. And then you learn to crawl, and then you learn to walk. And you think about the idea of like men having kind of fur, you know, on their backs, their feet, their legs, their arms. And then as we evolve, we have like proper beards, and, you know, haircuts and all that stuff. And you think about things of that nature as you are literally listening to this, to the soundtrack. And then the clothes begin. The first look was a fur coat and thigh-high boot, all in indigo blue denim. And so you're thinking, a fur coat, what is going on here? But it, you know, it looked kind of taffeta-ish. And then as the model walks past you, you notice, oh, this is fake fur, but not fake fur with that kind of three-dimensional texture. This fake fur was either whisker painted or spray painted on. So you got that fur effect, but in a kind of like jaunty, you know, Moschino 3 or 4 years ago way. And so we get this parade of kind of like fake fur coats, right? You had fur dragging like pelts, but it's not pelts, it's fake. And then you get these kind of high shoulders, right? These very Cristobal Balenciaga square block shoulders. And so in your fashion mind, because again, I'm thinking about evolution, early man to modern man, you think, well, this could be Cristobal, but it could also be Charivari. Charivari was a 1980s, early 90s shop here that predated Barney's in its fabulousness and its obsessiveness. Marc Jacobs actually started in fashion, and that was one of his first fashion jobs. And so you think about those women, right? Those 80s women, dynasty women, right? With their shoulder block, with their shoulder block, football shoulders, and their shoulder block, shoulders high as hell, fur coats. And so I'm thinking about, New York retail, 1980s, New York retail. Well done, Piotrek, and so there's that aspect of it. And then you get more of like a fashion history coming across, because then we got this coat in, I think it was Houndstooth maybe, and then you get a hardcore Cristobal shoulder, and then that also can be attributed back to Dimna giving it new relevance, but it's like so many other designers have done that shoulder. Egon Lab has done that shoulder, and so it's become a modern lexicon. And with Area always thinking about future progressive, right? This is very on trend for them. Another thing that we noticed were the idea of le smoking, right? Yves Saint Laurent's le smoking, but done in an Area way, oversized. And then we got that Yves Saint Laurent kind of tuxedo look. But in Area's world, this look needs a crystal bustier, cupped around each breast. And then maybe it needs a knicker where the knicker is encrusted as well. And so I whisper into Hetty's ear, Hetty, our editor from Show Studio, who was attending the show, I whisper in her ear, Yves Saint Laurent. But it's not just Yves Saint Laurent. It's also Emmanuel Ungaro, because that's where Piotrek Panszczyk trained. And that's where he has the ability to turn a satin trouser into a satin biking trouser. So you get that same evening wear effect, but it's slick and it's modern and it's kind of shapewear, but highly conceptualized shapewear. Another bit that we saw on the fashion side was this Pope, a fabulous Pope going to a party at Knockdown Center, right? Because I quite love Knockdown Center, so we're referencing a lot. And this Pope had that kind of Pope habit situation. You'll think of Rihanna in 2016 at the Met. I think it was 2016. No, it was 2016, 2017. In any case, fabulous Pope, right? Crystallized. The Pope had crystallized, wearing this crystal habit and this crystal look. And I'm thinking about, it's that John Galliano collection for Dior, Haute Couture Autumn Winter 2000. And so again, right, it's this fashion historical lesson, but projected modern, because Piotrek and Area are always thinking about, where are we taking this to communicate today, to say something about the era now. And every other model had a mask on, right? You think of like a masquerade ball, or you think about Stanley Kubrick's film Eyes Wide Shut, and this idea of an orgy, right? This secret society of just sexual creatures that fancy an orgy. And then sitting across from me is like a writer for W Magazine, Kristen Bateman, and she dresses for herself, but she also dresses for the cameras. And you also think about something like Area, where it's cultish. Simone, the great drag queen, loves it, and the looks are to see and to be seen. And you think about, we're all kind of a cult, aren't we? There was this weird cult of fashion freaks and perverts and numbskulls doing things right or wrong, depending on how you look at it. But this is our cult. This is our orgy. The show is our orgy. And these are the things that a soundtrack can give and do for you, where this propulsive thump, 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 it can annoy you. You can be annoyed because you're not getting a Björk concert. You can think about evolution. You can think about fashion's evolving codes and communication. The hair in this show, for example, this kind of like frizzy, untamed, blow dry, blow and go hair. Well, on the one hand, you think of like, okay, this hair works with these looks, but on the other hand, because of this idea of evolution, Rick Owens did this hair 10 years ago, the year that Area was founded. He did this hair in a Spring 13 collection, the women's wear, the one with the foam, the fabulous foam, right? In the background, foam just teeming down. It was like heaven. But also Tom Ford did this hair. Tom Ford did this hair for his last Gucci collection, or his last spring Gucci collection. And so this is fashion hair. This is fashion history hair, but proposed today to say something about the times. And so these are the times where fashion can evolve, and you can solidify your place in it by doing important things like knowing your history, and maybe knowing your history and putting your spin on history. So it's not just you cadging and holding on to something in the past and being nostalgic about it. It's jerking it forward to give it new meaning, your meaning. And these clothes were definitely in Area's meaning. You know, we thinking about the early man, the evolutionary tract, right? We had dresses, just, you know, typical cocktail evening dresses, but they're Area style. So they will be rhinestone, they will be in lime green, they will be in kind of wine colored but electric rave wine remixed. And they will be for Wilma Flintstone, but in 2023, you know, these dresses were just like revealing numbers. They had kind of like bones with rubies embedded in them, tied together. So these were dresses for fabulous, you know, for fabulous cave women. I remember whispering to Hetty saying, Wilma Flintstone. And so it is giving history its own spin, your own spin on it. You had like those kind of 94, 95 short Chanel suits with these inflatable bustles, these inflatable corrugated segmented bustles, very Area, with fun fur, with fun kind of fuchsia fur. So there was fashion history here, but the takeaway was it's all Area, it's all Piotrek, you know? And this was not just ready to wear, this was couture. So these goofy things were done with thought, with rigor, with intent in mind. You know, this was not a superfluous fashion collection. There was real intent here. Every exit made sense. Each story aspect of it made sense. It's, you know, our history, but today, our history, but now, closed to see and be seen, but underpinned by the masters, right? Underpinned by Charivari, underpinned by Tom Ford, underpinned by Cristobal, underpinned by Emmanuel Ungaro, underpinned by Piotrek, who close to us all. So a thank you for the knowledge yesterday, Piotrek and Area, and congrats on the show. Sinjin, thanks for another great soundtrack. And this is Show Studio saying goodbye. We'll come back with more reviews. It's a long season. We've got a month. Buckle up. Bye.